All of a sudden, fake news is a huge problem. I know what we'll do. Let's teach kids in school how to spot fake news. Hello and welcome back to Capo TV. Today I'm going to do something a little bit different than I've done in the past. I'm going to react to a news article that I read last week. It is titled How to Teach High School Students to Spot Fake News. It's on slate.com, written by Chris Burdick. And the tagline is, Media Literacy Lessons Aim to Make Teenagers Savvier About What They Read Online. I just want to point out a few key things in this article that really got me irritated and really made me question what has been going on in school for all this time. Chris here says that Civic Online Reasoning is a series of news literacy lessons being developed by Stanford University researchers and piloted by a few dozen schools. He goes on to say that this effort is supposed to help students contend with misinformation and fake news online, a problem as old as dial-up modems, but now supercharged by social media. Well, I'm sorry, but fake news, maybe it's the online that makes this sentence okay, but in general, fake news is hundreds and hundreds of years old. So the very next sentence goes on to say that young people are considered digital natives, but they're woefully unprepared to sort online fact from fiction. Excuse me for thinking this, but again, what has been going on in school for the past 30 years that now in 2016, kids can't sort fact from fiction? I don't think this is just an internet problem. I think this is a people problem. People these days just don't care so much about facts. It's all about the headlines. It's about what makes you feel good. And that is, I think, a direct result of the failure of school, which is what this whole channel is supposed to point out, that school has failed in its initiative to educate people. School is not about education. School does not equal education. School is something entirely different than education. They're wasting resources trying to teach kids to specifically spot fake news. Well, why don't they spend that money and teach kids a basic course in logic? Maybe something easier instead of formal logic. How about logic of everyday reasoning? That would be much better than teaching specifically how to spot fake news. The article also says that young people's ability to reason about the information on the internet can be summed up in one word: bleak. You know what? As my experience as a substitute, the ability of a young person to reason about much of anything can be summed up in one word: bleak. I mean, they're trying to teach internet literacy, fake news literacy to students, to kids. Why not actually teach them how to read in the first place? Because to be honest, I don't know, the wild number, say half of the kids that I encounter on a day-to-day basis don't know how to read well. God forbid you ask them to write anything. It's total garbage. If you know how to read, you know how to write, and you know how to think straight, that is logic, then you should be able to spot fake news a mile away. It might take a little bit of effort, but hey, it's not that hard to see when a wild claim is made. What's the evidence? Oh, there's no evidence? Okay, this must be fake. I guess I shouldn't share this and add my little comments to the comment section about it. But guess what? Let me just put my phone down here. I took a little bit of a notes on this. There's a lady named Janice Schachter, who's a social studies teacher at Northport High School in Long Island, New York. She's taught a news literacy course in her high school since 2011. But listen to this quote of hers. First of all, she says her students get info from social media. That's all they've ever known, which is true. But listen to what she tells her kids. Quote, I tell the kids it's not fair that we have to do all this work, but the reality of the internet is that we do. It's not fair that we have to do all this work. That there is, I think, the epitome of stupidity. It's not fair that we have to think in the everyday world. It's not fair that we have to learn how to read and write and reason. That's not just the reality of the internet. That's the reality of reality. You have to put in a little bit of effort if you don't want to be duped, if you don't want to be scammed, if you don't want to be goofed and gaffed and schemed. Like, she's telling these kids that, oh, you're having such a heavy burden because you got to do extra work to make sure that you're not a freaking idiot. Starting to tear up a little bit here because this really makes me sad. It really does. School is supposed to, like, their mission is to educate children and raise up a nice educated citizenship to take over when everyone else is dead. But they're not doing that. They're raising a bunch of delinquents who are illiterate and who can't read, write. Well, that's what illiteracy means, right? You can't read or write. And who can't reason, and who, like, I'm doing it right now. I'm angry at the children for not being able to read and write because I think they should take some responsibility, especially once you get into high school. I'm going to go out on a limb and say that it's teachers like this who make statements, it's not fair that we have to do all this work. Teachers like that are the ones that cause the problem, because what is she saying to the students? She's saying that, oh, sorry, student, back in my day, someone used to do all this work for us. And the students are like, oh man, now it's extra work and we're in school. School sucks. If school sucks, then what I'm reading must suck. And I don't like reading because school makes me read. I don't like writing because school makes me write so much. I don't like to think because thinking's hard. How do you get kids to care about fake news? Well, the article says, appeal to teens' aversion to people telling them what to think. This guy named Jonathan Anzalone is already running into trouble here because school is all about telling people what to think, right? It shouldn't be, but it is. That's what school is nowadays. School is indoctrination. School is just a mini prison system where you got to do what you're told when you're told to do it. He goes on to say that one of the messages we've tried to stress more and more lately with the rise of fake news is this. Do you want to be fooled? Wouldn't you rather make up your own mind? Well, I'm sorry, Jonathan. I thought that was the point of school the whole time, so that you educate students or children so that they aren't fooled and that they learn how to think for themselves. But, gee, wait a minute. No, it's not. School is not about education. School is about control and indoctrination. So, having a student that thinks for him or herself, ooh, that's too scary. You can't let them have an original thought. They've got to follow tradition, follow the rules, and only repeat what you teach them so that they can pass the test. That's what school really is, and this whole article kind of confuses that point. And I'm sure Chris Burdick is a believer that more education means a better citizenship. More education means a brighter future. Well, okay, yeah, that's true. More education does mean a better future, usually, because the smarter you are, the more you know, the better you can read, write, and reason, the further, theoretically, you can go in life. But school does not equal education. More schooling is just producing more and more stupidity like this. But, of course, school has failed. School does not teach basic reasoning. It does not teach logic. It does not teach how to read well, how to write well, how to reason well. This is what it gets us. Articles about how to teach high school students to spot fake news when high school students cannot even read well enough to read the fake news. I think that's about it. I hope this rant was good for you. It was good for me. I don't know how ranty it was, but this article really got under my skin, and maybe it'll make someone else think about what school is really doing. If our students can't even spot a fake news story that can be proven false within seconds of a simple internet search. Or even not that, just looking at the claims and reading the article for evidence and not seeing any. That should be enough right there. But that's right. School doesn't teach kids how to read or write or reason. So let me just end there. Thanks for watching. If this was your first time watching a Capo TV video, I encourage you to subscribe. I encourage you to like this video. Leave me a comment down below. Have you ever been duped by fake news? Have you learned how to spot fake news in school? Did you learn how to read and write well in school? Let me know that down in the comments below. Thanks for watching again. So, see you later. Bye.